We're good. All right, good evening and welcome to the Parks and Rec Commission meeting. I'd like to officially call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock. And I would take roll call. I'm Vice Chairman Kessel. I'm here. Ben Kramer.
Present.
And Commissioner Keck.
Present.
Commissioner Osmondstad.
Present.
And Commissioner Jones is absent. Okay, the first item is general public comment. This is the time members of the public may give comment of a general nature. No official action may be taken by the commission during this time unless it is to direct staff to look into a matter. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes. If you are watching online and would like to make a public comment, please send a chat message to the host in Zoom. Would anyone like to make a general public comment on an item that is not on the agenda?
We don't have any messages.
Okay. Okay, then we will move on to updates. And Joni Westcott.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you so much for coming out on Valentine's Day to join us. I have a few updates for you. One on the Verde River Wraps. We have completed the outfitter permits. They will be issued to the outfitters this week, most likely tomorrow. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have the paved road. It's been a couple months since we've been together, so I just want to catch some things that have happened since we were together last. The paving of the road at Tuzigoot. We're working with the state parks to resolve some issues on the grading at Tuzigoot. When the company came in and did their grading, they brought in a lot of soft dirt and the rain made it puddle, and now there's ruts and it's kind of a mess down there. So we're talking to them and getting an estimate on what it would take to repave it and to AB down like we did out at Tapco. We're working on that with them. And then also State Parks is in the process of getting us, they're going to work with us on the ADA path that is crumbled and fallen apart at Tuzigoot Wrap that goes from the parking lot down to the little, there's a pad that's planned for ADA accessibility. It's not really that accessible right now with the way the path is. They're going to fix the path, and we're going to put a picnic table, an ADA picnic table on that. They're also going to put in a concrete pad and a ramada like we did out at Tapco to put the restrooms underneath, the portable restrooms underneath to provide shade so they're not so hot in the summer. And then eventually we'll get that pretty wrap around on both of those structures at some point, but they're running that through the channels to get that all approved and get that done. I think that's all I have on the river. Caballero Park, we had a little mishap this week with a tree that fell. Actually, was it this week or last week when the storm was here? Tree fell in the neighbor's yard and the root ball knocked the fence up and created, it looked like it wrecked the fence from the pictures. The homeowner agreed to remove the tree and the root and did so. And when he did, the fence came back down and is not damaged. So we were really happy to hear that. We actually had a contractor coming out, the fence contractor who put it in, coming out on Friday to do the repair, and it doesn't need any repair. So that was good news. Also, we have purchased a lending library for that park. It will be placed on the water box, on that ugly water box that we had out front. Public Works has stuccoed it and painted it and going to create a new top to attach the lending library to. And so it will be on the outside of the park and accessible to anyone who would like to use it. We used basically the last of our CDBG funds for that part. And we are still waiting on the picnic tables to be completely repaired on the area that was chipped. And the Arizona Rec is trying to see if they can just give us a new table, since they don't seem to have a good repair for that. Epoxy, the place where it's at, the epoxy would probably not work. And so, yeah. So I'll keep you posted on that. The town park restrooms are under construction with ADA upgrades. So the partitions have been taken out. They're, what did they take out the wall too, Shell? You were down there.
There's got some of the brick wall that was in the middle.
Petition, yeah. So it's more accessible for wheelchairs to get in. They will be adding new doors that will have the new locking system that we're going to try on them, and there'll be family use bathrooms, so they won't be men's and women's any longer. That construction is due to be done in the next couple of weeks. The town park gazebo, to give you an update. Oh yeah, I missed that, didn't I? Santa Comes to Parkdale was on December 7th, and I believe all of you were there on that beautiful day. We had about 214 children, and the inline games were a really big hit. Thank you, Commissioner Osmondstad. I think we should do it again next year. So let's keep that in mind for next year as we do our planning. I didn't have any other things to talk about on that. The town park gazebo, the Historic Preservation Commission and the council had a joint meeting last week where they approved the voluntary consultation report from the State Historic Preservation Office for the rehabilitation of the bandstand. And basically what that means is they approved for extensive rehabilitation, minor corrections were needed, and to stop deterioration where that's happening. So they aren't going to be tearing down the gazebo. They're just going to be taking care of the pieces that need to be corrected, which falls under extensive rehabilitation. So we most likely, and I don't have an update on construction. I was hoping to get that before this meeting. We hope that it's going to be sooner than later. However, we don't have any guarantees on that. And with the type of construction, the way they're going to do it now, it may take a little longer than initially planned. So we have to be patient on that. And we'll talk about the concert season and when we get to that item. The Copperpenny Park, we need a sign for Copperpenny Park. We've had the request. There was a little bit of a misunderstanding with the contract with the developer, and we thought that he was going to be taking care of that, and he didn't. And we just have not gotten around to getting a sign. So we're going to start the design for the sign and get that sign up at that park. So we have that. So we look official over there because we know what it's called, but a lot of people who visit it don't. And then, of course, I think we updated you on the pickleball fence had been put in over there as requested, and the residents seem to just really love it. So that was a good thing. One last thing that's not on the list that I want to give you a very brief update on, not for a conversation, but the Clarkdale Criterium, Historic Clarkdale Criterium bike event is being planned for April 6th in downtown Clarkdale. I have actually flowers for you. I won't do that. This is, okay, so I get back to my station here. This is a flyer that the event organizer has been giving to the Upper Clarkdale residents that will be affected by the road closure. It is a pretty extensive road closure. with a bike race that will go on the streets. So we've been really concerned about safety for this event, but it's a super cool community health event. Yavapai County Community Health is involved. Lots of organizations are involved. Actually, it's planned for a farmer's market in the park, all kinds of health and safety kind of vendors, a kid's bike rodeo, and lots of other fun things. So I just wanted you to be aware of this type of event happening in our community. Robin, I know you already are, have been involved in that conversation. So we had a public meeting this week for the residents to, this flyer went out to them, letting them know that there was a meeting, and we had only positive folks come and with lots of good things to say about this type of event. And so the town is in the process. We have not finally approved it, but we are in the process of having the organizer get the safety pieces in place so that we can feel comfortable doing that. So that's where we're at with that. And feel free to ask any questions after the meeting about that. And that's all I have for updates.
Okay, the next item is minutes, where we will discuss and approve the minutes from our November 8th, 2023 meeting. Does anyone have any discussion changes? Anyone like to move to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes of November the 8th. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Wait, you gotta get your...
All in favor?
It's actually no longer present. We marked the time that he had a call.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and then the motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to discussion items only. No action can be taken on these. The first one is Connect Clarkdale, the Trails and Active Transportation Master Plan.
I'm sorry, you guys have to just hear from me all night long. So we are just about done. I'm going to go through the process where we've been. I'm going to do this pretty briefly because I think most of you were either at the Trails meeting that we had recently and got the same information, or you've been aware and have read the Trails plan. But just as a reminder, in 2020, the Clarkdale Parks and Recreation Department conducted the community-wide survey where we learned that trails were the most important thing, and all different types of trails through that survey. That was the most important thing to the residents. In 2021, we started the general plan for the town. And through that process, we also brought in some elements of trails that would, about connections, about creating connections to local businesses, to other parks, and to all the linkages between everything that we want. So since we adopted it, the community is united around a shared vision for the town moving forward with development of trails and figuring that out. Obviously, we got together with Logan Simpson and started that process. We talked about active transportation being a part of that as well, meaning walking, bicycling, all mobility, or modalities. So the Connect Clarkdale proposes an active transportation system. You all are aware of that. We've had many conversations about how we wanted that to look. We've involved you in that process. I think you're aware of how we got there. We started with about 10 months ago. So we're rounding up to a year by the time we get this adopted. Beginning with the research data, community, public engagement, and identifying the ground truthing, and then the costs, and then of course prioritizing. Oh, I know what I'm doing over here.
So I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm on the project timeline. I'm sorry. You guys, I'm really moving through this now. It's Valentine's Day. Then get you out of here. Okay, so the route inputs. Project team considered lots of geographic information systems. We did historic research, checked with walked on the social trails, did all the things that we needed to do to get information from the community on what their needs were. So, and once we identified the trails that the community wanted, and we were clear that we were looking for connectivity, and we really didn't even need to do that because that's what the community was looking for as well. Next, community engagement. We had the focus groups, met with town council, open house, several open houses now we've had. The preliminary route review, Parks and Rec worked with you all to get input. And in the end, next, these were the project highlights in the end regarding public engagement. And we ended up with 47 total miles of trails or active transportation avenues, 47 total projects, 9 trailheads, 36 road crossings, and 5 major bridges. In our dream world, of course, coming to a total cost for all the projects would be about $12 million. Obviously, we're going to take this piece by piece, grant by grant, to get done what we need to do through the prioritization. The project highlights, their connector trails, the multi-use paths, pedestrian sidewalks, on-street bike lanes or routes, and nature trails. Next. So through the process, we identified different trail types that we wanted to consider, and these are some of them. They were organized into near-term systems and long-term systems. Long-term being way out there, like probably way after our time. 10 years or more. The next, the master plan system map. We had some direction from Logan Simpson at the public meeting on how to read the map system. And I'm not going to go through that in detail, obviously, with you all, but if you need any assistance from us in doing that, we are happy to sit down with you and help you. I think this is helpful information, and it is in your packet. Next, the master plan system map showing, this was a really great map that Logan Simpson came up with, showing the connecting routes and how many and where we're connecting to. I thought this was a great visual that they did that helped see all of the considerations to those connections. And then next we had the system map with the Clarkdale spur of the Verde Valley Circle Trail, which was really important for us to include, as it's part of a large system, as you're aware. The Centerville, this is the, I can't read that. the near-term system, and the long-term. Oh, so there's a key that shows everything. And again, I'm sure you've had time to review this. Does anybody have any questions on any of this that we've gone through so far? About, okay, good. Next, we have the system map that was split into quarters. So we did it in 4 quadrants to help the community be able to see their neighborhood and kind of get some perspective. So this quadrant, the north quadrant, I'm going to tell you, is the area north of Main Street and east along the river. If that gives you some perspective. The northwest area is planned for multi-use paths connecting to and from the school. That was one of the highlights that we included since we've already been having those discussions with the school about that opportunity and felt it was a viable thing to highlight. Then we have the East Central map. That covers the Centerville, Chusegu River access point and south toward the town of Cottonwood. Kind of connecting with the north there. So we have all of our trail systems in there. The Old Jerome Highway, nope, that's not on this one. Centerville, you can see in this one, the Centerville trails have some great connectivity and is an area that we would really like to see develop. So that. Moving right along, we have the East Central map, which is Centerville, Chusegu, south toward the town of Cottonwood. Is that the one I just had? Yeah. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but anyway. Okay, so let's talk about the West Central. That's the Clarkdale Jerome School, State Route 89A, and Old Jerome Highway corridors. This would include the Cement Plant Road and Clarkdale Parkway projects and the sidewalk down to the school. Just if you have any questions as we're going along, just let me know. Oh, what's happening? The south side, we have Mescal Wash area, south of Copper Penny Park. So that's going to cover Old Jerome Highway in 2 sections, including the Old Jerome Highway windy area that goes out to 89A. We have some great trails in that area. Okay. Any questions about all of those quadrants? Okay, so now we have the project prioritization criteria. So we had to consider which trails were financially viable, and I know we've been through all of this with you guys because you were a part of that, helping us put that together and make some decisions on that. So we considered financial viability. Did the trail satisfy an immediate need? Did it provide additional benefits? Was it especially significant to the community? Did we see it a lot in community requests? So those were the considerations for the trails. And then okay. Then on the priority projects, we narrowed that down with this kind of a scoring system on looking at all those criteria to this list, which covers North Broadway bike route, South Broadway bike lanes, North Clarkdale Park.
But, Mala is asking if she can ask a question via chat.
Okay.
So that would, I believe, yeah, to our chair, she wants to open it at this point to the public for public comment at this session. Is that how we would proceed?
Can she just hold on for just a minute and let me get to the end of my presentation, and we'll open it up. Let's do that. Because then, I'll get all distracted. So Cynthia, if you can just bear with us for just 1 minute, I promise I'm going to get through this quickly. So we have the north side Clarkdale Parkway bike lanes, the South Broadway sidewalk, the Cement Plant Road multi-use path, Clarkdale Jerome School trails, the West Main Street multi-use path, Chuzigoot Wrap ADA path, the Centerville Road sidewalk, and State Route 89A multi-use path. The plan acknowledges that the priorities can and should be reevaluated annually. So we'll look at these, and as you know, we've been very clear in the plan that these trails are concepts and the property owners have not approved for them to take place. And that's going to be work that we have to do down the road, but we wanted to include them in the plan so that we have them available for future thought if something comes up. So the 11 priority projects meet connectivity needs within Clarkdale, and many are opportunities for easier implementation due to their location within a public right-of-way or town-owned or managed land, and or willing property owners like the school who have already let us know that that they're on board. This is the Clarkdale Jerome School concept. And I'm just going to run through these real quick. This is the Bonnot Springs Trailhead concept. And then to the next thing, we have the roundabout at at State Route 89A, where we're looking to improve the pedestrian crossings on that particular plan. And we already had that one. So let's go to the path to implementation. So the plan represents a wide-ranging framework of trail and active transportation projects and recommendations to guide decision-making across multiple levels of community action, from town government to partnerships with allied agencies and civic organizations. The true impact of this plan will come from diligent and consistent efforts to execute the plan. Remember, we said in the beginning, we didn't want a pretty plan that was going to sit on the shelf. Many of the things, or shouldn't say many, a few of the things that are on our near-term plan are already happening because of this plan. And the type of trail or transportation avenue that we wanted to see, like multi-use path, et cetera, are being implemented because of this plan. So already we have a lot to be proud of in the fact that we've spent this much time working on it, and we've gotten to a point that already some great things are happening. So I think that concludes my presentation, and we can open it up for public comment.
Want me to officially open it up for public comment?
Yeah.
Okay. We can open this up for public comment on the multi-use trails plan.
All right, Cynthia, so I sent you a request to unmute, and you're welcome to turn on your video and unmute yourself so you can hear and see you. Or if you'd rather just text us the question, you can text us the question and we'll read it.
Hello, am I unmuted?
You are unmuted, but we cannot see you.
No, I can't hear what you just said. So
She can just, yeah.
Go right ahead and make your comment.
Okay, I still can't hear you. Is it okay if I talk?
Yes.
Okay, just a comment. Looks awesome. It's really exciting what we're doing with the trails. And I just had one question, probably don't even know the answer to it yet, but how would the new Highlands development affect the north central part of the plan?
That's a really good question, and typically we don't answer, but I'm going to answer it because it's right here in front of me. We have under the, Shell, if you could go back to, can Cynthia see this? Under the Clarkdale Jerome School Trails section, Cynthia, we actually have already considered if that development were to go in and talk to the developer during as they were starting their process, that we want connectivity through from their development to the backside of the school. So some of those trails that you see in the Clarkdale Jerome School Trails are connecting to that development for children to be able to travel safely to school. In addition, the development is working with us on the multi-use path that we're already talking about. We already have a plan for that comes down Clarkdale Parkway, and that will connect from number 1 to not quite the park, but to the bottom of the hill. The idea is to get to the park. It's just a little weird there because of the sunset and for south side of the street. So it impacts it in a positive way, but however, that will happen regardless. The Clarkdale Parkway multi-use path will happen regardless of the development. And because we're working, we already have a grant for the design of that. And then we have an opportunity for the next piece of that grant that will actually help us build it. So that will happen regardless of the development. And the trail system, we hope will happen regardless and can connect over to Clarkdale Parkway from the school so that Mountain Gate kids can get safely to school without being on a major road. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Did you have any others?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. So,
Are you finished with trails or no?
well, no, actually I'm not. I wanted to mention that from our public meeting that we had, we included the comments. All of the written comments were typed up. Thank you, Felicia, for capturing all of that information. And there were some really good points in here. I'm sure you've had a chance to read over them. Some things that we need to address and definitely some things for us to consider. There was a comment about the Del Webb open space park. That is not our park. So if we have the information of this person, we'll follow up with them and let them know that they need to reach out to that's actually run by the HOA. It's owned by Cottonwood, but I think the HOA runs it. Yeah. There was a question about us spending money on the trails when the town park grounds need some attention. So we'll address that as well. Actually, I already have addressed that with that community member and letting him know that that was already on our radar and being taken care of. So, and I think that's all I have, unless you guys have something you want to talk about with it.
Okay, we'll move on to the next discussion only item, the 2024 Concerts in the Park series.
First, I would like to thank the committee, the selection committee, for the work that they did. We put out a notice for bands to apply, and we had 42 bands apply. And the selection committee had the chance to review 22 of them. And we narrowed it down to 7. We have 7 concerts planned for the year.
Well, I sent an email to all the 7 bands that we chose, and they've all confirmed the dates that we sent. And we've heard some feedback from some of the other bands that weren't selected. And Shell and I gave some feedback, but for the most part, it was all positive. And yeah, all the bands that confirmed are very excited. And
so the bands are Local Honey, that's a reggae band, Big Daddy D and the Dynamites, who both of those are returning bands. Big Daddy D is a rhythm and blues band. Cassandra Long Band is a country kind of rock, country rock. Honey Badgers is a classic rock. $10 Wedding, that's a new band also. So Cassandra, Honey Badgers, and $10 Wedding are new to us. They are a bluegrass band. Naughty Bits will be returning with their funky rock. And then we have Comeback Buddy is also a returning band with the 50s, 60s. They're a very popular band in our community. So great job. Again, we do not know the situation with the gazebo construction. So we have semi-reserved 7 stages for the bands in case we need them. And it did affect our budget greatly, as you can see from your staff report last year. We're hoping that it'll get done and we won't need to spend that money, but we do have an opportunity for a grant that could potentially cover about 10,000 of that. And we hope that will happen. Do you guys know what the total band?
4,850. 4,850.
So that's just a couple hundred more than last year.
I don't think what last year was.
Yeah. So anyway, would you like to have a discussion about the concerts? You know,
I have a question about the gazebo repairs. Is there a guarantee that it won't impact while they're happening, that there won't be an impact on the stage area?
There's no guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, last year we planned for that potential situation that the construction, if the construction happens, they're going to take over that concrete pad. So we planned to move the stage, to set the stage up over by Smelter on the corner of 10th and Main. And Smelter is going to allow us to borrow their power during that time because they've got a high power hookup. And so we could use that if we need to. So we're just in holding pattern on what that's going to look like. I did want some feedback from you all on how you guys did a fantastic job of helping us last year and kind of relieving staff to not have to work every concert, and that was awesome. We have now 3 staff members, so you know we'll probably have to rely a little less on you, but I was just curious about your input on how things went from your perspective, or if you have any input to give us on something we can do better.
I thought it went well, having, you know, one of you guys on staff, and then couple commissioners at each concert, and then we always have plenty of volunteers to sell tickets out in the crowd. And then with Bailey here, it's going to be a piece of cake. She wants to go to everyone. I thought it was a good system. It worked well. And I'll send out an email to all the commissioners to find out what dates they're available, and we can kind of plug people in.
Okay. That'd be great.
And do we have a date when those start?
Yes, June 1st is
okay.
the first one. It's June 1st, June 15, June 29, July 20, August 3rd, August 7, September 7. So you can see we kind of got done earlier than last year. It really helps with the dark, how it gets darker later in the month. So
we only put one in July because it's so hot.
Yeah.
And now that all the bands have responded to their promotional materials out, they can know that I don't online.
Yeah. So we look forward to a great season, hopefully in our new gazebo. I'll see how that goes.
That it?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, we're moving on to new business where we will discuss, consider, and act upon things. The first one is the Parks and Recreation Youth Advisor.
I'm so excited about this. We've been talking about it for a long time and bringing youth into discussions in recreation. And we just were kind of trying to figure out how to do that and find the time to get everything together for it. The value in having youth, having younger members of the community be represented, to take in their creative energy and enthusiasm. It'll help foster their leadership skills and civic engagement. It helps us get that younger demographic perspective. And, you know, hopefully with their input, where events and programs are concerned, you know, we might look at that in a different way when we're looking at it from a young person's perspective.
Joni, I have a question. What's the current minimum age for a commissioner? How old does somebody have to be to apply right now to be on the commission?
For a Parks and Rec commissioner?
Yeah.
For youth advisor.
For the youth position?
No, I mean, right now, anyone can apply, right? All ages are welcome to be on the commission?
Great question.
Yeah.
I mean, how is this different from just having the application open to anyone who wants to be on the commission right now?
Well,
are there barriers to youth being on
the answer to that? There really aren't, but we're feeling like, so this position would not be a voting position. It's a youth advisor that gives recommendations. So I do believe that you have to be a Clarkdale resident, and I don't know if there's an age limit. Now that you asked me, Commissioner Kramer, I am just not sure on that, but I will find out and I will get back to you.
So the difference is that it would be a non-voting.
Yes, it would.
And maybe they would have an opportunity to like respond. Like they may not have to be in person to be able to respond to certain issues if that conflicted with work or sports or school, etc. Or
yeah, I think that's a possibility. I mean, we put on for the application that we'd like to see them be between 14 and 17 years old. So we're talking high school age. You know, we did ask for a commitment to come to be at the meetings. I think them being here and being a part of the process is really important.
Yeah.
I did work with the town clerk on this process, and she never posed that question that we should, you know, why does it matter? Why do they, you know, why can't just anybody at any age? So I will need to do that research and find that out.
Theoretically, a 16-year-old who is interested in local government could just join any of the commissions.
They could apply to join, yes.
They could just apply and
potentially. I don't know if there's an age for sure.
So as a non-voting member, it wouldn't change any of our quorum, anything like that. It wouldn't change what our quorum is or what's required for voting or anything.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. It is. It is. But they would go through the interview process just like any other commissioner, probably maybe a little bit different questions. We'll have to consider that, but we just like the process of them being able to be a part of the conversation, not necessarily voting members to begin with. However, they can consider continuing with us and continuing on with us. So
great.
Where do you see recruiting, or how do you see recruiting?
Most likely we'll do our typical social media push. They do need to be Clarkdale residents, just like any other commissioner, to be able to participate. So we'd reach out to the counselors at the high school, find out how the high school could help us, and then also do social media, because maybe it isn't someone who goes to our local high school. Maybe they're online, or we want everyone to have the opportunity, not just schools. So.
And parents might see it in the newsletter and encourage their children to.
Yeah, so we'll do all the ways that we normally push it out. And we may or may not get any interest. I think Parks and Rec is probably the most interesting. Don't tell the other commissioners.
No, for teenagers, for sure.
For teenagers, yeah. And we want to hear from them and their perspectives. So I think reaching out specifically in that age group is important.
Is it possible to have an alternate, just in case someone couldn't show up to a meeting?
It is, and we kind of we just left that open. So if we have two really great candidates, we can have more than one to participate. It's a little different than the alternate that we have for the commission, because in this case where we have a missing commissioner, that alternate can step in and be a voting member, where with the youth commissioner, they would just be giving input, if they have any to give. So
okay. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think especially bringing in, a more diverse perspective into the conversation that represents part of the community, that like how many of our Parks and Rec initiatives are for younger people and maybe don't traditionally have a voice in how it's happening or what's happening.
Or if we're missing something,
right.
If we're not covering something that we could be doing better.
One thing, and I think this would probably come down to how the recruitment and application process goes, but I noticed that you're asking for a 2-year commitment. I wonder how that might, I think it says.
It does.
Yeah.
We talked about changing that.
But if they were seniors, they may not be interested. I wonder if maybe a year commitment would be more appropriate. I don't know.
We did, yeah. And I changed some other things on here and I skipped that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you feel, give us your input. Is 2 better or is 1 better?
I think it would be less intimidating for them to.
2 years.
Yeah. Not that we're going to
20% of their life.
Even a year. Let's do it 6 months.
That's a lifetime in teenage years.
That's a really good point. And someone had asked me about the parent, you know, parent commitment, and we do have that, not only the student commitment as to what, you know, they're signing, they're agreeing to, but the parent commitment that, you know, we're taking this seriously and it's your responsibility to make sure that they, you know, get here if they need a ride. I mean, obviously it's their responsibility to let their parent know that they need to be somewhere, but yes, and we'll change that 2-year.
You don't need to deeply fit staff that would like to have the option to renew them after 1 year if they're still interested in continuing on rather than going back to the interview process that staff. Or would we?
I think we would need to talk about that process with Charity because it is part of the that process, that going through the clerk thing. I mean, it's going to be done like other commissioners. So I think let's just talk that through with her and see. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Would anyone like to make a motion about this item?
I think this is a great idea. I'll make the motion again to do the search for youth advisory positions for the Parks and Recreation Commission. I'll make that motion.
And if I could just be really clear for a second. I know I said this in the staff report, but this is, we are making a recommendation to council to approve this. So first step, you guys, are you okay with going down this road? And then we will now take it as your recommendation to council to add a youth advisory position to the Parks and Rec. So I just, sorry, okay. I didn't say that out loud.
Okay.
The recommendation noted there on the staff report, and we would see that as
the motion.
Will help after the motion.
Okay. I make a motion. The staff recommends approval of a youth advisory position to the Parks and Recreation Commission. And this item will go to the council as a recommendation for final. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed unanimously. We will move on to Selma Mangini Park Plan, where we can discuss, consider, and act upon elements of the Selma Mangini Park project.
All right. I wanted to share with you the mission statement for the Selma Mangini Park that we created a long time ago. And actually this came from our dear friend and helper in the grant, Felicia, to revitalize Selma Mangini Park so that it is once again a hub of community activity. So we are at the point of really getting this done. Our first draft plan was created in through a process we started in 2018. The draft, there was a different draft plan at that point, and then that was created from a series of open houses and public hearings and all kinds of public input. We created it. We learned through the process of applying for the grant that particular plan was not going to be workable because of the fact that the grant had to be on property that we owned. So we needed to redo the plan so that we could put everything in the part that we, on the side that we own, to be able to cover it. So the initial plan had, you know, passive and active areas. We had planned for an educational water feature. It had beautiful landscaping, lots of fun things for kids. And due to various changes, we needed to change the plan. So in 2022, no, it was 2022. We started developing a new plan, and this is the plan that you're looking at. Go back down, Chell. I'm sorry, I'm doing it again. To the yes. One more down. No, one more up. One more. Keep. Oh no, you were on the right. The first draft one. I'm sorry. Yeah. Just have it smaller.
I'll just share the image of what we're seeing for everybody who's on.
Okay. There should, yeah. And then you have it up. There you go.
Whoa.
And now these guys can't see or whatever.
Just somebody's taking over my computer. I don't know what's going on here. There's a draft plan.
There we go.
Can you still see it, Dan?
Yeah, I can. I couldn't see earlier. I'm not sure if you were sharing earlier, but I can see this now. So perfect. Okay. Thank you.
So the 2022 draft plan was used to help acquire the grant. What you're looking at there is what we had in the plan. It included that water feature. It included a amphitheater and with the solar cover. That one was going to be a little tricky for us because it kind of covered on two pieces of property on the other property as well, but we had figured out a way to handle it. So if we move to the next screen, we had to do changes, obviously. So these are the things that in the first draft, we had the pickleball courts, the entry sign, the big kids playground, the zip line, you can see, was on the street side of the park. The pavilion, the grass area, there are some changes to that as well. We have the ADA picnic shelter and the community art wall. Beautiful plan. But it also had that water feature in it. So the current draft plan has removed. Okay, now I see it on looking at.
All of the commission members, you all have this draft. That's our current.
Pull up that draft. So here's what moved. From the old park, we had the container restroom, the pollinator gardens, the tot lot with the shade canopy, the zip line, the ADA, picnic shelter, and the tree placement and types. So we did move some of that. So what was removed from the plan was the amphitheater with the sitting terraces and the educational water feature and the second dugout at the bottom of your screen, at the bottom of your image there, the one closest right here. This one, it's not on our property. So we had to remove that. We removed the educational water feature because for a couple of reasons, mostly because we realized that using water to teach people to conserve water isn't necessarily a responsible way to do that. And we decided that it was not a good use of town water and town funds. It also was very expensive. And although it was going to be super cool, we were excited about it. We removed it along with the amphitheater because of the expense. We weren't able to include them in the budget for the grant anyway. So we took those out. Then we move, if you go to the next screenshot, from the first, we have what was added. So to your new plan that you're looking at in front of you, A climbing vine wall was added.
Oh, you're trying to, you want me to do that?
Yeah. It was added right here. Thank you. It was added right here. So we have our pavilion is still the same. We've reduced the lawn. We have added a rain tank demonstration. So we're still staying true to our water conservation education. We're just not going to do it. We're going to do it with rainwater instead of running, out of the tap. So let's see, what else do we have? We moved our zip line from here to here. This is easier for me to do it visual. Our restroom, we had a container restroom. We are now taking that out in we're not doing a container restroom any longer. It'll be similar. It'll be a single structure with 2 bathrooms. We enlarged the dugout. We still have our home plate plaque that honors the integrity of the ball field. We're keeping this dugout. It is on our property, and we're able to create some historic perspective in that and use it for educational purposes. We've added a lot of drainage. What do you call those?
Swale.
Thank you, swale. For water collection. We've added a place to be able to bring in, if somebody wants to have a large event here, the kind of place that they can bring in some additional porta johns, because the bathrooms may not, the bathrooms are enough to serve the park as we plan for it to be used. With the bigger events, there's going to need to be more. So we added that in. The pickleball courts are larger because we want to get it right this time. We have this really cool, one of the things we were interested in is having some natural, we can't call it a play area, but some natural boulders.
Ben.
Some natural boulders.
Oh yeah.
Some natural boulders for kids to be able to climb on, and so that is what this area all in here is. What am I missing? We still have our we moved our top lot from over here into this area. We're still working with design to increase, because this little area is like the footprint for the playground. So we're and this. So we need to increase those. These are trees, all planted in here. These green areas are for trees and greenage as well. What am I missing?
Do you want to talk about the lawn?
Yeah, and we decrease the lawn so that we're using less water, even though we're in the process of trying to get our effluent water piped up to Selma Mangini. We wanted to decrease that lawn area regardless, so that we're using less water. And then we still have, let's see, the Ramada, the dugout, landscaping, lighting. Lighting was planned for the first, this wasn't on the plan. So you can see on your map, there's a little symbol that shows you the lighting that will be along the inner paths of the park, and then a few of them along the upper path that will be closer up to the road. And then they're also planned for a crosswalk, some new crosswalks and additional parking if we can afford it.
So in the big kid play area and the tot lot play area, will there weren't going to be play structures in there?
There will
be eventually, but there will be.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the footprint for where those play structures will be. He just hasn't put them into the into the plan. And we started asking him for a pretty plan like we had before, but honestly, it takes a lot for them to color, and we still have a few moving things. For instance, that tot lot and that big kid playground, our footprint needs to be bigger. You reduce that by putting the trees, which we like because we want the shade, but we're thinking now that we need to make that bigger, and we need to just buy equipment that has shade structures instead of the trees, because the trees take up so much of the footprint for the play equipment.
Will the pickleball courts have some kind of fencing around?
The pickleball courts have fencing and light. Yes. And the basketball court does not have fencing or lighting. Does it have lighting? Yeah, it has.
Okay. And that, the large pavilion that's 40 feet across, does that have anything underneath? Or is it just shade right now?
It will just be shade. It will be open space. So that way people could have a large gathering under a shade structure. We do have some planned seating for the outside of the Ramada to have some concrete seating, but leaving it very just kind of spread out. And then, but the front of it to the park will be completely open. That way, if someone wants to have a band there, if we wanted to move concerts there for whatever reason, or a large wedding, it's just, we honestly, we've kind of gone back and forth about, and we still don't know that we can afford the 40-foot pavilion. That was our initial plan, and costs have gone up so much that we're waiting to find that out. We may have to bring it down to a 30-foot pavilion. We just really like the idea of having that huge space. There isn't anything really like it in our town that you can bring a large gathering to that has that kind of shade.
Question about the water usage for the lawn. Do you keep it all to like the type of seed we're going to use, and how we'll try to make sure that if it's a real grass lawn, that it will be how we'll plan for that.
Right. Well, it'll be low water. Yeah, our landscape architect has already told us it'll be low water grass. And again, if we're lucky, we'll get that effluent piped up there, and then we won't be using much water at all, or any water from the tap. But the idea also that I forgot about is that pavilion, that 40-foot giant pavilion, is planned for it to be a water capture source, and it will go into the tank that's behind it, and it can be used, and that water can be used to water the vegetation, the desert type low water vegetation, what is the pollinator garden area and that type of thing.
And as a demonstration area, right? So people learn
right.
How that.
Yes.
That will the passive rainwater collection basins, the number 27s?
Those are all tree planting areas.
Okay.
Where they'll be shaped, contoured in.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
that they capture more.
Just slightly though. Yeah.
Okay.
They're not like deep, like riprap ditches like we have in some of our parks. They're more designed for vegetation, so trees to be planted in there and be able to self-water. Okay. All of the vegetation, it has to be, he's been working on our land, on the not vegetation, the landscape plan where the trees and the plants, and he's following the town's guidelines for exactly what we say is okay to happen there. So it'll all be low water.
What's the next step?
So the next step is for us to finish the plan with the landscape architect. They're very anxious we need to choose the pavilion. We need to choose the playground equipment so that they know what the footprint for that is. We're really interested in putting in the tot lot area a mommy and me swing, along with, you know, some lower, some tot type equipment. And then in the big kid area, there will also be a swing set of some sort. And then of course we have the zip line, which is going to be heavily used. So we're excited about that. So the next step is to finish this and get all of the rest of the details in, and then choose those items. The restroom also we have to choose, and then we will bring this plan once we have everything wrapped up. We would like to have a joint meeting with the council and to just talk about all of the changes and get the final approval to go forward.
Is the soil remediation all complete there? So
the soil remediation is done. Thank you for asking that question. We just met with Freeport Macaron today. So they've taken out all the bad soil, but as part of the remediation, they typically bring back like for like. We were a little nervous because they're pulling out in May. Probably they're done with the residential piece of their project. And so we were trying to figure out how that was going to work. In meeting with them today, if the Highland project does go through, they'll be remediating that. They'll be here until December. So our engineers said it's not likely going to be a problem, that we'd be able to get them in there at some point during that time, and they would be able to get the landscaping in for us. So that will save us a little bit that we can put toward that 40-foot pavilion because we know it's going to be a lot.
Anybody, any more discussion?
Questions? Do you have any feedback or anything in particular that you feel we need to pay attention to? Oh, I forgot the public process. So before it comes back to you all and council, we'll have a public meeting that and do all of the outreach to get folks in to see the new plan. And at that point, it's not really going to be for, it's basically a done plan at this time. So we're not making any big changes, but we want the public to see it and be as excited about it as we are.
I think they will be.
I'm excited.
Did you want to talk at all about the stab wall for the typical for the light, the big baseball field light, and future set for public art?
Yeah, so the baseball lights. We're just going to go back to APS and talk to them about what we can do to get them removed hopefully before the park process starts. And the art wall is planned. We don't have a specific plan for what it will be. We have on the plan several art pieces throughout the park. Again, we'll be reaching out to local artists to see who can work with us and come up with something really cool that goes along with our theme of water conservation, education, or the river, something along those lines. And then I think I did mention the lighting. The sound wall. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was something we talked about today, wasn't it? So the pickleball courts being where they are.
Oh, the noise.
Yeah, so we've talked about a couple of things, and I still think we need to talk to our sound expert, Toby Payne, because he has a really good understanding of how sound travels and what it does. Our concern about a sound wall, and this, can you move that down, Michelle? Watch.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a
On this
retaining
side,
wall
where
in 21.
there's residential homes here, that if we do that, that it's actually going to create more of an echo and echo it out potentially. I mean, there's nobody that way that it's most likely going to bother, but we do have some residents down on this end. And so we talked today about, do we put a wall? Do we put some plantings? But that would mean maintenance for public works. And so we need to make some decision on if we're going to actually do that wall or not do that wall. And we didn't really budget for that wall. So we'd have to figure out the funding for it. So I'm kind of thinking our next step is to talk to Toby and just get his ideas on what might work best for that area. And honestly, I don't know how many neighbors are going to be bothered by it. We have had conversations with a couple of them on that street who are like, they're so excited that there's going to be activity in the park. They're really not concerned. But
Joni, when the dog park in Cottonwood had a similar issue because they had a bunch of complaints about the noise from there, and their sound barrier solution was actually a regular chain link fence that then they did plantings along, and as the plants grew in and filled in, the vines filled in, it created a barrier that was once established was like pretty, I think it was pretty low water use and easy. So maybe some of your counterparts at Parks and Rec over in Cottonwood might be able to shed some light on whether or not that had been successful for them. It seemed like a fairly low cost solution, definitely lower than like a brick wall or something like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I like that idea. And I think that probably is going to be a better than a wall that sound can ricochet off of. I think something like that would be better. Did I mention it all this yes, we did right at the very beginning, this behind the pavilion and the water capture tank there, we have planned for a similar kind of thing that you're talking about with some type of a fence that actually grapes can grow on, that we would potentially plant grapes in there. Although I don't know that grapes are that low water.
Yeah, I think once established, they're super water efficient. I think that's one of the big selling points on them as a landscape feature.
Yeah, and we thought that idea was really cool to just have that right there. And what it does, since we don't have a fence around the basketball court, is it, you know, and this is planned for for like the butterfly garden, for some pollinator type plants right behind the pavilion, that it would protect those plants from any balls rolling down that way and any users that are in the pavilion. So perhaps the only thing, we did talk about that today, but the grapes might not be the best thing for that wall because of the fruit. You know, we thought probably we want something that's not doesn't have fruit. And I wonder about that. We hadn't talked about that idea of having that the grapes in the middle of the park, if that's going to be a problem with javelina and animals coming in.
We could also use milk grape vines that would not fruit. But yeah, I agree with you that on the pickleball side, it probably wouldn't be the best buffer for staff because you want something really thick that's going to cover every aspect. But we already have the chain link fence.
Right, and something that's evergreen. Yeah. So good suggestion.
Anybody else have any discussion, questions?
Did
concerns?
we need to open it up for public comment? Okay. Okay.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion to, what should we include? Just that we,
You actually don't have to make a motion on this. It really was just to give staff any guidance. And if there was something that you felt strongly about voting on, then it's available for you. So it's not, you don't actually have to,
okay,
unless you want to.
oh, if we don't have to, we don't have to. Okay, next item, chairperson selection.
So I have a question about that because there are 4 of you present tonight and we do have a new commissioner who was unable to attend. Hi, Felicia. Who was unable to attend this evening. And so, you know, do you want to move forward with the vote? And or would you like to table it until next month?
What's your recommendation? I'm good either way.
Just go for it. I mean, as a brand new person, I mean, to drop that in somebody's lap.
Yeah, it's not like you guys are, it's not like you're gonna put that on him. So, and since he doesn't know you and not having been a part of the conversation, I think it's completely fine to move forward and he'll be able to participate next week. But he is on vacation, so he was sorry to not be able to make it. So then, so let me just kind of kick you off then, not kick you off, start you off with just some things to think about. So we do this once a year. Somebody gets you guys get to make a choice. The chairperson's role is to ensure that meetings operate efficiently, that the decorum is maintained, that they work closely with the staff liaison on agendas or review requested agenda items, ensure that the meetings are run as closely as practical by Robert's Rules of Orders and that they move along without delay, be open enough to allow individuals to speak without being unfairly restricted, make sure that items that are not on the agenda are not discussed, see that the commission considers the major issues and does not become sidetracked by insignificant concerns, attempt to educate the public as to the process and policies of the town, attempt to bridge the differences that may exist among opinions of the commissioners to reach a consensus, to build an atmosphere where it's okay to disagree as long as you're not disagreeable, and be the last representative to give his or her opinion after all others have spoken. So then you guys just engage in conversation and someone will make a motion after your conversation, and then you will do a vote.
So isn't it often the case that they ask him first who would be?
It's really up to them to decide how they
That's right.
how they start the conversation.
So my question, is there anybody who is interested in serving as the chair?
Are we doing a chair and a vice chair?
Yes,
One at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always interested. I think Cheryl's done a brilliant job this past year, and I really appreciate what you've done. I also enjoy meeting running and everything else, so I'm willing to do it if that's where the board is. But if someone else is interested, I'm happy to support any of you on the commission. I appreciate everyone's contribution. So
Yeah, I'm willing to do it as well. So I've never really been it. I was just running it since Alan's done. I mean, I'm technically just vice chairman right now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make a motion.
Ben, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you ever held the position of chair or vice chair on this commission or other commissions?
Not on this commission. I've held it on several others. I chair personnel, public safety personnel retirement in both Cottonwood and in Clarkdale. I don't think I ever have as Parks and Rec in this one, but yeah, I chair other boards as needed, either in Cottonwood or Clarkdale.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have two great people, and that makes us really.
Do either of you know that you'll have to miss any meeting?
Well, I'll be gone in June for a couple weeks, but I'm not sure we'll be missing a meeting.
No, not that I know, but you never know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm happy to defer to Cheryl. I mean, if you're willing to do it, I think you do a great job, and in that case, you know, I'd love to support you, make a motion that Cheryl Kessel is the chairperson for Parks and Rec Commission for this term.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed unanimously. We will move on to the vice chairman selection.
Anybody interested?
Ben is.
I'll make a motion to name Ben Kramer as the vice chair for the Parks and Recreation Commission.
And I would second that again.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We ask him if he would do it.
Oh,
Yes.
He said aye.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it. Robin she took my chair, and then now this is what happens. I'm thrust into the vice chair position. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right, that motion passed unanimously. And we will move on to future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they would like on future agenda?
We'll be back with Solomon Genie and trails. Yeah.
Anything else?
None.
Does anybody have an objection to adjournment?
None.
Okay, if not, we will adjourn at 6:28 p.m.
Thank you.